Hey NorthGate family, it's Pastor Mike here. Since I spoke on Sunday, I thought it might also make sense for me to do this week's devotional. And so I wanted to share some ideas with you and also challenge you with some questions. So let's dive right in. I'm going to read from the Bible passage that we looked at on Sunday, Romans chapter 8, verses 15 through 17. So I'm reading from the ESV, English Standard Version, and here's how the passage goes. For you did not receive the spirit of slavery to fall back into fear, but you have received the spirit of adoption as sons, by whom we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God, and if children, then heirs, heirs of God, and fellow heirs with Christ, provided we suffer with him, in order that we may also be glorified with him. That's kind of a remarkable idea. This passage, we talked about it on Sunday. It shares that we've been adopted by God, those of us who have accepted that gift of salvation from Jesus Christ. He has adopted us. He has taken us and said, you are my child now. We talked a little bit about how in the Roman culture, if a family adopted a child, that child's rights with their previous family vanished, and they shared all the rights and benefits that the new family could give them. And also that their status was not as less than children who were born into the family naturally, but that they were equals. They would share in the inheritance of their father. They would share in everything that that family had to offer equally with the other children. And that's what we have. We are adopted by God. We also talked a little bit about the fact that this means, and the passage says it too, we are joint heirs with Christ. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're equal to God. We're not. But when God looks at us, he sees us as his children in the same way that he sees Christ as his son. No less than. That's amazing when you think about it. Because I know I'm not perfect. I know I have a lot of work to do. And Jesus, well, he's an incredible example for us to aspire to. So knowing that God looks at us the same way he looks at Jesus is really encouraging and inspiring. I have a few questions I want to challenge you with. But before I get to them, I want to remind you of the big idea that I shared in the sermon. The big idea. Remember it? It was that you have a Father who loves you and will never let you down. Let's say it again. You have a Father who loves you and will never let you down. That is so reassuring to me. I hope it is to you as well. Now, here are some things for you to think about, some food for thought. The first one is, what are some steps that you can take to know God better? Okay? We all are on a journey as believers. Some of us maybe are just starting out. Others of us have been walking with God for a long time. But every single one of us can know God more. And there are different ways to do that. For example, we can spend time in his word. We can spend time with other believers. We can serve. We can worship. But whatever you're doing, there's always opportunity to know God more. So what are some ways that you can do that today? The second one is, how does it affect you to know that you've been adopted by God, that you are his child? And all that we just talked about, that means you are a joint heir, that you are looked at by God the way that he looks at Jesus. How does that affect you? Think about that. You might want to write it down, but just give it some thought. Lastly, how can you preserve the knowledge of God in others? We talked about good fathers protecting, providing, and preserving on Sunday. And what I want to encourage you to think about is how you can preserve the knowledge of God in other people. Every single one of us has something to offer, and every single one of us also needs to receive something. Paul had Timothy, and he also had Barnabas. So Barnabas was pouring into Paul, and Paul was pouring into Timothy in that discipleship relationship. And this doesn't have to be formal or complicated. we want to provide opportunities for discipleship to happen here at NorthGate, but maybe you just need to spend some time with somebody who doesn't know Jesus as well as you do, or who hasn't been a Christian as long as you have. And maybe you also need to spend some time with people who've been doing this longer than you, so that you can grow as well. Well, that's it for today. I hope that this has been encouraging to you, and that it's a blessing to you to know, once again, you have a Father who loves you and will never let you down. Thanks a lot. See you soon.